She is an entrepreneur. She has worn many hats in business, but what has drawn her back to her true passion? Today we'll talk to Kia Bonaparte of LB Designs.
All right.
Welcome, Kia. I am so glad you could join me on Wednesday with Weezy. How are you doing?
I am great, Louise. Thanks so much, Miss Weezy, for having me on. So excited to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm just so glad that you could join me here on Wednesdays with Weezy. And you are like the true person that when I designed this show of whom I was talking about. We were going along in life, and then we had to make some shifts or something, and we
Mhm.
hit that 2007 2008 bubble,
Yes.
and we had to redirect. So I know that you started out in engineering. Can you give us some good information of what you were doing when you were an environmental engineer?
Oh, sure. As an environmental engineer, I had so many opportunities to, as they say, help the environment. I was your water, wastewater, and gas station girl.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So when you would see, either a BP or a Citgo or those kind of gas stations, I would make sure that the water or the groundwater going around those areas was clean. And if it wasn't, any contamination that my clients may have gotten into the groundwater or what have you was cleaned up. And I
Okay.
made sure that they were in compliance with all those wonderful state rules.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that
I wrote,
was that here in Charlotte?
yes, that was right here in Charlotte. I was right down the street off of Monroe Road and Matthews and loved it. I wrote report after report, and I got a chance to be, client facing. And when the company got purchased, I was in the mode of marketing director so that
Oh,
we could
okay.
strum up some more business. So I got my full force of networking at that point. So I've been in that game for a while.
Okay. So what happened to cause you to leave the engineering field?
Well, the last purchase of the company, when we went from like Epic Environmental to Delta Environmental, great new company. But girl, they started sending me up to Michigan. And
Oh,
yes, I would fly up
Michigan in the
and
summer might be nice, but what about those
right,
winters?
exactly, those winners, exactly. And I told them, I said, okay, well, this is great. And I said, okay, after the snow, feel free to send me back. And then they called me in February. Kia, we sending you to Michigan again. I said, oh, no, you didn't hear me. So I prayed about it. My husband and I talked about it. And I literally gave notice the next day.
Oh,
I said,
wow. You were
yes,
serious about that.
I was serious about that, because sometimes you have to draw that line in the sand. And I'm so thankful for my handsome and very supportive husband, because without him, I couldn't do any of these things. And turns out it was definitely a blessing from God, because when I gave my notice, I said, okay, I'm going to go into interior design. About a week later, we found out that we were pregnant with our very first child.
Didn't need to be up there in those airplanes or out in those slippery streets of Michigan, right?
Exactly. I could have hurt myself. I could have hurt my child. So, hey, God's timing is perfect. And they really mean that.
Uh, so you went from environmental engineering, and
Mhm.
now you made a mention there of interior design. So what made you go into interior design?
Well, it had always been one of my passions, on the side, how you're, doing things around your house and,
Hmm.
you're tweaking this and you're painting that. And you say, ooh, and I was all plugged into HGTV
Oh, yes.
back in the day, as well as okay, I may age myself a little bit, but Trading Spaces, the first time it came on.
I loved Trading Spaces. I transformed my house, two houses, by watching
Yes,
that show.
exactly. Right, exactly. And we ended up with an orange kitchen because of Doug off of Trading Spaces. Yes.
Well, I know it's a side note and we're just having some fun here, but yeah,
Right.
it made people feel so much more comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
playing with color, because my background is, I went into people's homes and I painted, their
Right.
walls and did faux finishes and different things. And so my kitchen here is a yellow with a pumpkin glaze over it, and it just kind of gives a
Oh,
nice little Tuscan finish,
right.
um but who knew? But yeah, I hear you totally. Got my jam on and did a lot of repurposing and different things from that influence from that show.
Definitely, definitely. And that was really where it started. And I kind of put my feet into it a little bit, kind of dipped that little toe. I
Mm-hmm.
took a decorating 101 class to see if I would like to do it. And I did it at the local community center over at Central Piedmont Community College, and did it right up the house. And oh, Louise, it was fabrics, it was, accessories, it was space planning, because it took all of my scheduling and my dynamics of engineering and put it in a creative spin.
Yes.
So I knew I was home. So then after that one class, I then enrolled in the interior design program at Central Piedmont Community College for an associate's degree.
Okay. Okay. So how
Yeah.
long did you do the interior design for?
Well, the interior design, I did that for about another 6 years, had my own company. I worked with various furniture companies. I worked with an architectural company.
Oh,
I helped do
nice.
the CAD work for the, hospital down the street. And it's just, it's kind of cool when I go past the mall and I see the, CMC Pineville parking deck. And I said, oh, I help with that.
Yay. So what happened that you had to stop that? Were you one of the casualties of the 2007, 2008 bubble, where so many of us had
Definitely.
to reinvent?
Yes, I definitely was one of those casualties because had just finished my brand new shiny degree and then everything tanked. Yes, so I finished that. I finished it up literally around 2008, took my last class,
Oh,
and oh yeah, I tried. You know how you just try just a little bit longer, and I said, this is not working. So from there,
yeah.
I
So
went in.
from there, what did you do after that? Did that lead you straight into what you're doing now, or is there
No, I
more?
had to take one more. I know, right? I had to take one more hiccup on along my way. So kind of like the stepping stone, as they say. Is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people look at a hiccup as a get stuck point, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to get stuck here. I took human resources because, as you know, I'm a people person. So I have always enjoyed helping people. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go into human resources. My mother had done it for like 23 years. So I said, it's got to be somewhere in the genes. So,
So did you have to go? So you had to go back to school, yeah, again for that?
well, actually, this was on the job training. I
Oh, okay.
started in one of those call centers. So it helped me a lot, as you know, with my public speaking. Where I don't say a or I do that very minimally because I was in human resources. I help people with their health insurance, with their 401k, any
Okay.
hardships. They also put me, if someone had passed away, to help people ease through that transition to get all of their, family members,
Mm-hmm.
services taken care of, turned off, transferred over. So all those COBRA things. And in the midst of it, I got into management again. So I got to be a supervisor. I got to build people up. I got to do process improvements. And then I went to a leave of absence supervisor position. And that's really when I honed in my skills for my next step.
Okay. Okay. So, what, so now you've been in human resources
Hmm.
and, so then you take an leave of absence. Where does that lead you to?
Well, see, I was a leave of absence supervisor, and that was a 3 month to permanent contract. So I said, okay, we're going to settle in here. This is one of those top 7 companies in the world. And I said, oh, good benefits, all this,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know where that next stepping stone is going to take you. Well, remember I said it was a 3 month to permanent. I ended up achieving all of my objectives in 2.5 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
this
So my
sometimes you don't want to be. You're so good. You got yourself right out of a job.
right, exactly. And then my supervisor was looking at me like I wanted his job. And I said, I don't want your job. You're stressed. You don't see your family. And no. So I had gotten my team on task. Everyone, their backlog was gone. Everyone was communicating. I had written down all the processes. They didn't have a
Mm.
process. It's a top 7 company. I'm like, how are you not doing this? I think they were, number 6 is where they were on the list of the world. So I'm not going to say the name. If you want to check it out on my LinkedIn, feel free.
Right, right, right.
But so I did that and I said, you know what? I'm ready for my next step. And that was Bonaparte Think Tank, where I did marketing, branding, and process improvements.
So I'm going to pause you right here with Bonaparte Think Tank, and that's where I met you, was when you were doing that. But by this time, how had your family grown? Because
Oh,
you're
they'd
doing all
grown.
of this, plus you're growing a family.
Yes, they had grown. So I mentioned when I had started, in engineering, that was one kid. I have since had the second kid, and then we adopted 2 when I was in human resources. So that
Ooh.
going from a family of 4 to a family of 6, that was an interesting transition. So that's where I almost drowned in laundry. And that really honed in. I promise you, it was scary. Like, someone come help me. Where's my Rosie Jetson? Where is she?
Yes, yes. I need buttons and a robot to do it
I
all.
need buttons and a robot to do this cleaning and the laundry and fold it and help me.
So you've started the think tank,
Right.
and so what is the Bonaparte think tank all about?
Oh, sure. The Bonaparte think tank was the way to bridge the gap between my engineering degree and my interior design degree so that I could help people. I've always been that situation solver where I can see, okay, if you added, A, B, and C to what you're doing, mega money. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to do great. You're going to be happier. If you scheduled all of your emails on this day and on, on Monday and on Wednesday, and you did all your networking and your job hunting on Tuesday and Thursday and Friday, then how much more could you get done? So I would do that. And my clients were very successful. I primarily focused on realtors and entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, as you and I know.
Yeah.
So I would help people, and I even had at this point one male, client, and he did great things. He realized that he wanted to be the VP, and then by the time we were finished, he was the VP at his company
Wow. That's
because he was
awesome.
still doing things on the side. But he was doing wonderful things. So all of that was happening, but then I was still missing the interior design portion. So I kept that as like a branding option. And then that's when, I had to sit back because, as we say, my family kept growing along the rest of this because my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law, they came through in
Okay, so
September.
so life's changing yet again.
Yet again, yes, September of what is that, 2018. My husband was tired of the 13-hour drive up to Michigan to go help them because we want to be there for our family, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that his mother is fine, and his brother who has Down syndrome and unfortunately had a stroke, he was wheelchair bound. So with their winters, they were primarily stuck.
And we
So
know
when
Kia
they,
doesn't do the winter in Michigan.
yes, I don't do the winter in Michigan. Exactly. And with 4 kids, him going 13 hours up the way and me having a entrepreneur business, I'm
Mm-hmm.
flexible, but then I have to tell my clients, oh, by the way, I can't meet you
After
Monday
3
through
o'clock.
Thursday because I've got 4 kids and a mother-in-law and a brother-in-law. So that kind of put a little wrinkle into
And
what I was doing.
and you had another wrinkle in your life too, come along. Your husband, he ended up with some health issues, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That was definitely an interesting. Yeah, this last year was a very interesting year. So in February of 2019, he got a kidney transplant. And when you get the phone call, you just go. And the blessing is that I have a very strong network of friends and family, and people were praying. But literally, we got that phone call on a Friday morning. He got a call and he said, "Oh, honey, I think it's just a checkup." And I said, "No, honey, I don't think so. The nurse said that you may have to go to the hospital." And how they say the mom intuition, the spidey senses were
Mm-hmm.
tingling. I said, "No, I think this is the call." So we both drove over there. I had a meeting that day to talk to a friend about a book deal. So I called her and I said, "Okay, we're going to have to reschedule. I think my husband just got the call for his kidney." And she's like, "Okay, girl, bye."
Wow.
We get over there and they have a bright new shiny kidney, top 2%. It's wonderful. He was number 2 on the list. So we're just sitting there waiting. And about 15 minutes into the room, they say, "Okay, the kidney's yours."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the whole thing changed where then I said, "Okay, I've got to have a place for my kids. I've got to tell my mother-in-law. I've got to, all of the process improvements that I've done over the years for other people, it went into zone because I kind of knew it was coming, but you never know when that day's coming. So I'd had all my backups in place. So I literally was calling my nanny service, like, "I need somebody at my house at 5:30 today."
Yeah, yeah.
All of those calls. But he has done wonderfully. The surgery went off without a hitch, and he's just recovered, and he's gotten back to work. He's exercising. He's mowing the lawn, Louise. I said,
Oh,
"Come on."
that's
You know,
awesome. So
yeah,
so you had this last year you've had, 3 adult people to really get situated, and they've all
exactly.
had big transitions, and then
Hmm.
that threw you into uh, I take it that it put Bonaparte think tank a little bit on hold a little bit.
Yes, it definitely put Bonaparte Think Tank on hold. I was in full caregiver mode for what, 7 people. So,
Oof.
and then I had to make sure that I was okay in the midst of that. So after I got them straight, then I had to go get me straight
Yeah.
in the midst because, you got to come up for air. If not, you'll just drown. So you
We don't
know,
want that.
and yeah, we don't want that. And then we as women, we definitely, or, women, parents, entrepreneurs, we have to admit that to ourselves of, okay, I need some backup or I need a moment to breathe. So I took about a month and a half after everyone was situated. I took about a month and a half moment to breathe. And during that moment to breathe, one of my previous clients, who was a good friend, called me up and said, "Hey, I've got a design project. I just want you to come see my house." Well, Louise, everything in me was like, "Oh, we get to go spend somebody else's money." And we get to make our house beautiful and make that impact. So I said, "Okay, sure. Let's go ahead and do that." So I went on over there for the complimentary 1 hour, session. And oh, we had a blast. And by the end of that, I said, hmm, this is kind of nice. I kind of miss this. So then I went back and I took my handyman and my painter and I said, this is kind of nice. I kind of miss this. And I found myself searching for products for her home and for her home office off hours. And you know what they always say, the job that you'll do for free is a job that you'll love for life. And that's really where my passion was. And I said, okay, we're going to go ahead. I wrote her up the quote. I was ready. And then I said, you know what? It's really time for me to take this step back and go back into LB Designs.
Nice. So what does LB stand for?
My middle name is Lanice. So the L is Lanice and the B is Bonaparte.
Okay. Very
So
cool.
Lanice Bonaparte Designs is my, call to fame. And I had done it under that name before, but, I wasn't as, as seasoned an entrepreneur at that point. So, we learn things.
So yeah, sometimes we have to go down different paths of life to come back to really realize what our true passion, where our true passion lies, and we get that
Right.
second opportunity to be able to step out into that. And I'm just so happy for you that,
Thank
with
you.
everything that you've done, that you've been able to come back and realize this passion. And so if somebody wanted to learn more about LB Designs, where could they find this information?
Oh, sure. So you want to find out about LB Designs, we are excited to be there for you. And it would be LB Designs, CLT.com is the new website. I'll be having my business cards. I'm also available on Facebook under Kia Bonaparte. And I always like to do that lifestyle branding because you'll be able to see more of my designs there, as well as I'm available at 704-806-8365. Again, 704-806-8365. And we make the spaces you want to live in every day.
Oh, nice. So with that, wow, you've had quite the journey, Kia. And I just thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. And hopefully, somebody else might be out there looking for their passion, and hopefully they were encouraged by your story that, even through the struggles and everything, you keep growing and you keep striving, and, it may not happen right when you want it to happen, but you just keep at it and it will happen. I find that all the time in life. So, but anyways, that, is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we wrap up?
Oh, yes, definitely. You put it perfectly. Go ahead and follow your passions. I know sometimes it may be scary and you may feel that you don't know where you're going. When you take that next step, it'll show up. Either the door will close or will open. And we sometimes look at that closed door as that's it, can't go back. Sometimes that closed door is such a blessing in that it's a delayed answer. And a delayed answer is still a yes. So I wish you the very best at finding your yes. And Kia Bonaparte, LB Designs. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.